Hey guys, what's up? It's a mess from Swipe in the City.
You're not recording?
Yes, I am.
Why isn't it tracking?
It is tracking.
No,
It's
why
red.
isn't it tracking here?
It's small.
Oh, I don't like it.
Jesus.
Wait.
Let's start over. I wasn't ready.
I'm gonna keep that running.
Alright.
Okay.
Are you good?
Okay.
Good.
Alright. Hold on. I guess I'll delete this part. Hey guys, what's up? It's a mess. Marie with Swipe in the City is here.
I think we're gonna change your name to Messy Marie.
Ew.
I mean, she's not a messy person.
No,
but
I'm
just
actually the opposite.
a clean person. Anyways,
I'm neurotic.
well, welcome back to Daniela Hannah has requested that we stop calling it the shit show. That's probably not going to happen, but if you have some alternatives for us, we'd love to hear them. One of them that she provided was the Angel Show, I think, with the Two Angel Show. Speaking of angels, today in the studio we have our fan favorite. Want to introduce yourself for our new listeners?
Hey, yo, it's Mike, the producer.
Oh, he brought out Jersey.
It's better than last time when he was like country, he had like a country accent.
Kind of switch it up every time.
Meet Mike and his multiple personalities. I cannot even today.
We're doing great. It's we're recording on a weekday, which every time we do, we say we're not going to, and then we do. So here we are. What are we drinking today?
You're the one that got it, but for some reason, I've just had this like spiritual calling for nomadic beer. So I forgot what we're drinking already, but we are drinking nomadic.
Yeah, so one of our other local favorites. It's actually my new go-to spot after. I'm like, I go help at the shelter. I go walk dogs at Austin Pets Alive, but there's something really rewarding about going there after, getting a panini, like drinking a beer, doing a little computer work. So it's been the spot at least like once or twice a week for me. But we are drinking the Peak Season IPA. It's one of their standards. It's a hazy IPA. The girls are drinking that. Mike, what are you drinking?
Other than Red Bull.
I got me some Red Bull, sugar-free, of course. And I don't know what kind of wine from the corner store, but I'm a classy bitch. $10.99 a bottle.
I mean, he did walk into the studio with his own glass of wine and his own bottle of wine with
With an aerator.
I was gonna say with the aerator, which I appreciate.
Classy.
Yeah, very classy.
So we've got Classy Mike, Messy Marie, and Shit Show Shelly. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think I've referred to myself as Shelly on this show yet. Maybe we don't want to start that.
Can you please not ever? Have you ever been referred to as Shelly before?
Oh, you don't know this?
No.
Growing up, as a child, I demanded that I be referred to as Shelly instead of Michelle. So anyone who spent a lot of time around my family typically calls me Shelly.
Yeah, it's not
I'm
going to happen
sorry.
on this topic. You're Mish or Mayor.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, no Shelly. I feel like you just don't have Shelly vibes.
Before we get into the actual topic though, I guess maybe like a little catch up. What's going on with everybody? What are your plans for the holidays?
I feel like I had a lot to, I thought of something earlier and I was like, oh yeah, you should say that. And I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. I mean, we keep going, it's only Wednesday and I feel like it's been 10 years already this week. So I'm already just kind of ready for, I don't know, I think I just want to take a week off randomly before the holidays.
I got me ma flying in tomorrow. Hi, Mom. I can listen to this. But I hope you don't get COVID while you travel. That'd be really cool. But yeah, and then I'm flying home late December. See my dad. And yeah, good time. So.
Where is home again?
Sorry. Well, now it's Pennsylvania. I'm from New Jersey, Jersey. But Pennsylvania. My dad moved to Doylestown, bumfuck woods, where everybody supports Trump. Those elections were rigged, I tell you.
Well, good luck out there.
Sounds like it's gonna be a good time. I feel like there's gonna for sure be like guns involved, some shooting.
Good wine.
Of course.
Probably not wine.
It's not literally guns and wine, that's what we're doing. I'm not kidding.
That's the name of the event, Guns and Wine.
Guns and wine and Christmas with Mike, the producer.
Guns and wine and Italian food.
That honestly doesn't sound too bad.
That's
And like that sounds great.
It can be one of those like reporter specials where they're like reporting live from the field, and it'll be Marie in Florida. It'll be Mike the producer in
Pennsylvania.
Dunes,
Doylestown.
Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and then it'll just be me here hanging out, getting drunk.
I also dropped my dogs off for the first time in boarding them in Austin. So I found Camp Bow Wow.
Cute.
And they had their interviews 2 days ago. They both passed, flying colors. And I actually get to watch them on like a prison cell live stream if I want to, in their little cave.
Aww.
So I get to see Hunter just burning down the place while I'm gone. It's gonna be really sad.
That's gonna be really fun for them, I think.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed for your pups. Michelle, what's new with you?
Fuck, I don't know. Let's see, by the time this is released, it's like next week, so
Yeah.
a lot can happen in the next week. On our last episode, when did we record? Oh yeah, so
Oh, this is gonna be rough.
It's the end of Q4. Work has been insane, so I've been struggling a little bit. Just energy. Mom, don't worry, I'm fine. It's normal to be tired when you work in sales. She's a little worried about me. No, I have my third date with Podcast Guy this week. That's
Very
tomorrow.
exciting.
We're gonna go to Still Whiskey. Well, there's Still Distillery, and do a little tour and grab some beers at St. Elmo. So I'm pretty stoked. I think it'll be a good time.
I was just gonna say that's the one right by St. Elmo.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Still awesome. Still
Yeah, they have some really good stuff. So, on the IG, you might see some posts on the Instagram about that being a good date idea or a horrible one. TBD, unknown.
If he gets too drunk to drive you home, then it'll be horrible.
I mean, Uber.
Ooh, man.
Uber, yeah. Miss Uber is here. All right. Well, I think that's enough bullshitting for now. So today's topic is actually a follow-up to a previous episode. For those of you who have been with us since the beginning or who listen to things chronologically, you've probably heard our episode Officially Unofficial. So today we're doing kind of like a follow-up to that. We brought Mike in because he's always a wonderful addition to our psychoness. And yeah, so Marie, do you want to maybe kick us off?
Okay, so one of the first things that I would like to say, for those of you who did not listen to Officially Unofficial, little bit of definition here. This is what we call the gray area. We spell gray both ways because we don't know which way it is. Yeah.
Gray/gray.
And basically it's like that time period between after you've gone on like the first couple of dates with somebody and like you're seeing somebody pretty consistently before you have are we gonna see other people? Are we in a relationship? Like that kind of a talk. So, this is something that Michelle has been pushing on me all week.
The episode, not the talk. We're officially official on this podcast, so I feel like you're not going anywhere. You dropped off a beer and a dancing dinosaur the other day. I feel very secure and solid with where our relationship stands.
And you did say that since you're the mayor of our apartment complex, that I can be the first lady. So I think that's pretty official.
Like you can be like Secretary of State or something.
Fuck out of here. I'm Secretary of Defense.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Especially with the pups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most fitting.
CIA dogs. dogs. I got 2 German Shepherds.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, so basically, yeah, Michelle's been pushing this talk on me. No, I kind of came back like a little bit weird in my head from Fort Worth last week with my cousin. You know, because I kind of like started thinking like we're doing this speed dating event, which by the time y'all listen to this will have already happened. And the guy that I've been pretty consistently seeing asked me if I was participating. And well, he actually, the way he phrased it was like, oh, hey, when is that? Like, as if I thought like, oh, do you want to do it with us? And I was like, I mean, I can send you the link once it goes live, but I don't really want to watch you go on 10 different dates, so please don't.
The link, not even a discount code. I can tell you that we actually create a separate event for him and it's more expensive.
Oh my god, that would be savage. No, but that's kind of the overview of why Michelle's been pushing this on me. So basically, it kind of like pushed me to have this kind of a conversation.
If I could pivot,
Please, I don't know where I'm going with
real
this.
quick. I just did 9 interviews today for a veterans initiative for Oracle, and I'm fucking dead. I am so beat asking the same questions all the time. So, what's your fucking advice in the speed dating scenario? What kind of clever questions kind of pique your interest aside from good morning, how's your day?
You know we love good morning.
Or what's up? I mean, I'm planning to just pop into each table and say what's up because that's a great conversation starter.
Totally. That's actually, I mean, that was one of the ways that I kind of convinced one of my friends to participate. I was like, we're going to be emceeing, and so worst case scenario, we're hilarious, or we think we are. And, but we're also going to be providing like some prompts for these people who don't know how to fucking start a conversation.
Well, it's also like you get 5 minutes with the person, so it doesn't really make sense to go into your
Life
jobs
story.
or your history. Pick one thing, see if you can like maintain a conversation about it. If not, no worries, no big deal. But yeah, I think we're gonna do our best. It's also there's a wine tasting component, or I guess there was a wine tasting component.
We're in the future now.
So that gives a couple things. One is just like something that you could talk about if you don't have anything else to talk about. Like, do you like this wine? Do you not? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kind of adds like an activity to it besides just staring at each other. But I mean, it's like I love this type of shit. I would do this all day, but I also can have a conversation with anybody. So
Need a brick wall.
I don't think I've ever been speed dating. I've been to dating events, but I've never speed dating, so I don't really know like how it's gonna look. I just feel like I would run out of. I feel like I would get exhausted asking questions to 10 different people because I want to know the same shit. Probably have the same criteria that I would like to know about somebody. Do you have any way to switch that up?
Well, I think that's kind of why, you know, we don't really, I mean, at least me, like, I think thinking about this, we don't really want y'all to be having the same conversation over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's boring as shit. And that's how I feel like dating strangers off Hinge. So we kind of want to go beyond like the, what are you doing here? And so we're kind of trying to think of some like creative, but like fun and whimsy and not just like boring, what do you do for a living type conversations, but like maybe things like, what do you like about your job? Or if we really want to get deep, this is what I asked, inspired by a real estate book that I've been listening to. What I asked my whole family yesterday.
no.
What's the meaning of life? Which I'd love to know your answer, Mike.
We are not using that as a prompt for a 5-minute discussion, which is effectively 2.5 minutes per person without awkward pauses. Yeah, we're gonna workshop that.
I love the way you broke that down.
You're already losing me now. Now I'm thinking what the meaning of life is and my response is.
Well, how about we dial it back to officially unofficial? Because Mike, I feel like, so one of the notes Michelle has here is being transparent and managing expectations because we are proper salespeople. And Mike, I feel like you're a very direct person, so I'm curious as to kind of how you navigate this area in the relationship.
I usually just come out and say like, hey, look, this is my deal. Like, I don't know if I should talk presently. Probably.
Talk however you want.
It's up to you.
So I mean, like right now I'm very much. I'm 29 now, so what am I not supposed to disclose my age?
No, it just, you're like confirming, I don't know, go on.
Well, it's
Somebody
important.
there confirming your birthday.
Yeah, it's important. I don't know. I just turned 29, and like 30's coming soon, right? And it's important for. It's more important for women, age. I actually just listened to a book where.
Shocking.
Yeah, where no, it kind of generally maps out, you know, ages and what people are looking for at certain ages, and it varies based on gender, obviously. But as a man, being 29, in multiple failed relationships, not in a negative capacity, I've learned a lot from them. I'm just chilling right now, just very much enjoying myself. I'm not really focused on tying anybody down or anything. If somebody comes across me, then like, that happens. I'm just not, I don't have a mission. Like, I don't have an MO where I'm like, look, like, I don't know.
You must do this because of this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, no, I'm just saying like that's honestly like the reason that it kind of was top of mind for me. Like we were having these conversations with some of my cousin's friends about just this timeline of especially women, which isn't really me, that like wants to have kids. Once you hit 30, like you mentioned, like you kind of have this like okay, we've got a clock now, like
Right.
let's get going.
So I guess what I'm getting at is like that, like this is kind of the age where women start to want to settle down, and they want these answers quicker.
Mhm.
And you're like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Are you wasting my time? I want to know right now.
Yeah.
And that's natural. That's understanding. But at the same time, you kind of need to check yourself and know who you're talking to. And I want to go so many different places right now. Like I don't know where to start. Just ask me questions and I can answer. I can't.
Yes or no?
We can work on that. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I feel like whenever we bring you on, you kind of live in a little bit more of absolutes. Like, you're like, at this stage, this is how, and again, it's like, I know it's coming from books and research and stuff. As everyone who has listened to, especially when all of us are on an episode, I think everything's a spectrum. I would say, so Marie and I are also both recently 29. I don't know, I would think, get your permission to announce our ages. We're all
29.
We're all 29 now. But I feel like we just had this conversation the other day where like we're not on this like mission, this trajectory to, okay, if I want to get married by 32 and I want 2 years before I get married, then I need to be in a committed relationship by 30, and maybe that is because neither of us are necessarily like, oh, we do, we for sure want to have kids or have that like top of mind. We're both again like very career oriented, very podcast oriented, like all the side projects with a lot going on. Not that people who want those things don't,
And
but
fur babies.
our focus I think is just different, and we're just kind of on these like maybe different highways, and what those look like may be different. But I do think it's interesting because I think that you're right based on like in general most of the time I think hitting 29, hitting 30 for women, it's like, okay, like I'm looking for something serious, I'm looking to settle down, I'm looking for a very specific thing.
And it's not even consciously, it's subconsciously. You don't even know that you're doing it, but deep in the back of your head, something's bothering you and you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And you can't even chill out because it's natural. It's just like, and you need to like recognize it, take a breath, and like chill out, basically.
And that was something like I kind of learned when we first recorded this. I had the officially unofficial talk with the guy that I was seeing then, like real fucking quick. And it wasn't necessarily like, I mean, I don't think there was something in the back of my head saying like, oh my god, I want to be with this guy, or like I want to marry him, or something. Like, it wasn't like that, or like I'm on this timeline, but it was just kind of like my anxiety kicked in, and I was like, well, I don't want to not know what my relationship is with him. I just want to know, like, are we doing this or are we not?
Yeah, and it's very much like your primitive side of you kicking in, and you're like, fuck, I want like security right now. I want something serious, and ultimately that's how you see women settle for shit guys.
Totally.
And like unhappy marriages, and that's how infidelity happens, and it all comes down to a very rapid decision that you're subconsciously making. You're not even aware of.
No, I totally agree with you, and I think that's kind of why like now I'm taking things a lot slower, and I'm a little bit more content with like changing the framework of the officially unofficial conversation to not being like, hey, I like you, let's be in a relationship, to, hey, I like you, do you like me too, yes or no? If yes, then like, cool, like are we seeing other people, are we still doing that, or are we not?
And all that's fair, like communicate like with each other. But I get scared off when people are like, what are we, like right out the gate. Just too quick. I mean, if you're seeing somebody for a while, like on the first episode, I heard your scenario where you were dating somebody for like 9 months and you still weren't sure what was going on. Like that's enough. Like that, let's say like 4 months, you're allowed to be like, okay, so what's your plan?
Well, that was a little bit different. He just was like, I didn't want him to be my boyfriend. So we were just in an officially unofficial, just like no man's land is basically what that was. Like an agreement.
We live here now.
Yeah, basically. He actually lived here.
But on the note that you were making, Marie, what I feel like I've seen as kind of an outsider, an outsider as someone who's, I feel like so when we recorded, it's really interesting because we all like re-listened to the first version of this, or the first part of this, and you were pretty adamant about like, when I know, like if I know I'm ready to be with someone. And I think you had been talking to that particular person for a while, but like through quarantine, but from what I knew, it was like very fast that you were like, you put a title on it. And I think that's where what Mike is saying, you were like, you went straight to what are we? Whereas I feel like now, and in your current situation, you're taking a phased approach. I need to take some time off. You're taking, I'm like, shout out my coworker, Will is gonna love this episode. But I think you're taking a phased approach, and if you like, it seems like you're like, okay, like you just said, do you like me? Do you want to keep hanging out? Cool. Boom. Let's ride that out until I feel like I need to have an additional conversation or the next conversation. But it seems like you're not going, again, it's not going from A to Z, right? You're just like, you're going to that next, whatever that next kind of phase is, which I think is just like, it seems like it's working out better for you, but you're also, like, I feel like you're still communicating and you're still asking. You're just asking for what you need to know for that next phase, rather than going straight to like, what is this gonna look like in 6 months? Like, who fucking knows? Like, this has been the craziest year. Like,
dude,
on a call the other day, I was like talking about like annual agreements. I was like, I would never ask you to sign an annual agreement. I don't even care if I get bonus at it. Like, I would never sign that. Like, who knows if we're gonna see January?
Seriously.
Side note, if anybody's listening before, really harp on communication. If you do confront a guy about, I have hair in my beard.
Driving me crazy.
No, if you do confront a guy about what you are, and he reacts in an angry way, then that is a horrible fucking sign. It means you caught him because he has no intention. Get the fuck out, basically. And you don't want to date somebody who can't communicate openly like that anyway. So
I think that's a really good point, because it like brings it ties in the fuckboy episode from last week, like right into this. And I mean, we harp on communication like it's nobody's fucking business, but I think sometimes you have to kind of think about like you can't like looking at the big picture is nice, like in a fantasy way, or like in the U Up podcast they call it emotional masturbation.
It's Disney.
It's Disney.
It's the fucked up Disney world where we've all been brainwashed growing up on Disney, where we all have that one person, and it's just not the case. There's no such thing as that one person. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Well, no, and I mean, it just, I think every relationship and or whatever it is can like look a little bit different for every scenario, and everybody's gonna go at their own pace. And I guess like to what you were saying too about the last that last guy, things right now like with quarantine and COVID and the holidays and God knows what else. I think there might be aliens in January. Who knows? I'm kidding. I don't really think. Well, actually, I don't know.
The monoliths are showing up.
Yeah, like I mean, we literally like this has been such a crazy year for everybody. Like it's so hard to like even think for me right now about like really taking that step. And so it was a moment where I was just like, you know what? Like no, like I may feel like this outside pressure of like other people who feel like that's what they need right now, but like that's really not what I want, because I don't think I'm ready for it yet. Because like, you know, I've been really fucking anxious. I've been really depressed, and like, you know, there's a lot going on. I think we really need to take that into account.
Well, why do you feel that way?
Karen.
Karen, my girl. Hey, Karen told me I was doing a really good job the other day.
You're doing amazing, sweetie.
I'm like, well, maybe it's time for me to tell you more, Karen. As I like do my laundry while I'm on calls with her, it's great. Therapy's great.
Especially when you can multitask.
I mean, therapy is actually a very, very good thing. But yeah, I mean, to your point, that's like we really just don't know what the next months or years are gonna look like, and so I think anyone kind of pushing or rushing, I think what some people do maybe is like they rush into that relationship for that security, because they're like, okay, this is something that can be stable for me when the rest of the world is unstable.
I think that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with that initial situation in that last episode, like, yeah, I do feel like that was maybe part of it. You're like, cool, this is a stable thing, this is that. Plus, I think what also happens...
And then I lost my job.
And then you lost your job, and then we determined he was a not great person.
Well, as I say on The Bachelor, he didn't show up for me.
He didn't show up. But yeah, going back to communication, like being transparent and managing expectations, this is something that I did talk about in the last episode too. It's just like, if you're not ready for a relationship, just say it. And I talked about this not only in Officially Unofficial Part 1, but also I think in our fuckboy episode. But like, if you're not ready for a relationship, just say it. If you're not ready for a relationship with me, just say it. Like, I understand it's hard and it's shitty to be direct and be transparent, but fuck, I would much rather, like, there's like someone a while ago was just like, yeah, you know, I'm not looking for anything. 2 weeks later, I saw him with like a new girlfriend, and I was like, dude, I would have much rather you just said like, I don't want a relationship with you. Yeah. Like, that sucks to hear, but I would much rather that than be like, oh, that's weird. Cool dog that you're walking that isn't yours.
Are you ready for me to shit on my roommate?
It's time.
Is it Patrick O'Clock?
I feel like we need a drinking game for that too, for your episodes, but lay it on us.
No, he literally has a stalker at this point. He's just stalking me even.
Slack
she
girl.
lives down the street. Slack girl.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Slack.
I almost had to go to HR. She yeah, it's bad. Keeps texting. Like yesterday, texted him. Insanity. Not only that, he has 2 women doing this, right?
What is he doing?
So, to tie it in. No, to tie it in.
I mean, go Pat, but
To tie it in, he was talking to this one girl for a while, and he was just beating around the bush the entire time. And I called him out for it hard. I was like, you realize you're driving this woman fucking crazy because you're not telling her that you're not ready for a relationship. Anyway, he had a second one who keeps texting him. We counted them over 100 messages. Not kidding, sporadic, without him responding. Over 100. So those two found each other somehow.
No.
They met up. They met up and had coffee, and now the one is like, I met your girl. They escaped from a mental asylum. And like, I feel like they attract each other, and I don't know how they found each other.
I feel like that sounds right for girls.
Sorry, huge fucking side note. I had to get that one off my chest. In case there's a murder, yeah.
We're here for you, Mike.
I mean, that ties back to being transparent and managing expectations, though.
Yes.
Because you said he was beating around the bush and, not being, like, honest about where he was. And I mean, I get it, like, why people do that. But it also, like, with managing expectations, it's not really officially unofficial related, but, like, I had a situation with, like, the end of my last, like, serious relationship where basically I brought up, like, moving, and instead of like admitting to me at that time that, like, that person was never going to leave their comfort zone and move, they were like, okay, we can talk about this later. And I was like, well, when is later, right? I was looking for that kind of, because I was super stoked about it, so I was like looking for this kind of, okay, is later in a month? Is it when we get home from this vacation? Like, what is later? Well, I knew at that moment that it was never going to happen, but there wasn't like a clear management of expectations there.
Yeah.
Which led to it being a bigger deal, a more drawn out deal, and like a worse deal than if there would have just been like a, hey, this is going to probably like hurt your feelings now or make you cry or whatever the fuck. But like, here's how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know, but just say that. Like, say I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know where I stand with that. Like, I feel like, or just, I don't know. I mean, I went out with this guy a while ago, and he was just like, well, are you looking for a relationship? And I was like, well, I don't know that I'm looking for a relationship. And then, I had to kind of take a step back, and I was like, I don't think I have a solid, it's not black or white for me right now. Like, I don't think I have a solid yes or no on that. And even that, I feel like, is a better response than me either saying like yes and not truly feeling it 100%, or no, and then kind of setting like mismanaging expectations.
Well, and if somebody asks you to, like, are you looking for a relationship, and you say yes, and it's like in something, really early on in the dating category, they may automatically think, especially I feel like if you're a guy dating a girl, girls are crazy, as Mike has demonstrated. If you say yes, I'm looking for a relationship, they're automatically going to think yes, you're looking for a relationship with me. And I think that's kind of the key thing there too.
I don't know what to say.
Oh, you look like
Yeah, you look like you had shit to say.
My brain's working.
it's working.
Slightly.
Working and working. I'm like, now for our sponsored updates.
Please don't.
So this kind of goes into like who initiates that conversation. So if you remember from our first episode, Maria, your take was that what?
It wasn't just my take. It was when we did a poll for this one, when we first ran it, we didn't get a lot of responses, which we thought was also interesting, but one of the things that I did hear was that this is typically initiated by the girl. And I will say for myself, I think that I typically will initiate it simply due to the fact that I am very direct. However, it has also been initiated to me. So I feel like Mike has thoughts on this.
No, I mean, if you have an open line of communication, then it's an easy discussion, isn't it? And it could go either way. So like I've always said, you're a very straightforward person, so it's easy for guys to be like, hey, what are you thinking? I'm like, what are we doing? Very casual conversation. It's not something you have to be stressed out about. You're like, shit, I have to ask her tomorrow afternoon.
1 o'clock, 1:01.
Do you want to be my girlfriend? Mike, do you...
You gotta get with my podcast.
You gotta subscribe. We'll workshop that. Mike, do you feel like let's go a little bit more past, in situations where you have actually ended up in a relationship Do you feel like you initiated or the other person initiated? Stop clicking that.
That's a difficult one.
Hmm.
I feel like I really only attract like chill people, where like we casually date for months and months and months, and then eventually I'm like, hey, you're kind of my girlfriend, right? Like, okay, well now you are. So we can change Facebook now.
Oh, we didn't talk about Facebook Official, did we?
We did. That was the but our last one. Yeah, that was the part where I paused for a really long time, and then I said the thought of being Facebook official with someone makes me want to throw up.
Oh yeah,
That's right. I forgot about
I
that.
listened to this episode. You should.
I mean,
I never do.
hey guys, we actually got Mike to listen, so I think that's
homework.
yeah. I clearly did not.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember Marie you saying like, oh, I don't even fucking change Facebook, so I never change my status. It's kind of a big deal to some people.
I know.
Still,
Yeah.
like
When
today.
when me and my last girlfriend broke up, it took like a few weeks, and then I changed my shit to single because I didn't want the dating app people to creep on me and be like, this fucking dickhead.
This asshole.
So I changed it to single, and she texted me and she's like, I saw you changed your status. And I was like, yeah. She's like, I did that. And I was like, yeah, I know you did. But it's fine.
I mean, it sucks because you get a notification, don't you, when like somebody goes from being in a relationship, don't you?
I don't know.
If it's in a relationship with you, do you know?
I always initiate it. It's never...
I literally haven't changed my relationship status on Facebook since like college. So, and it's been hidden since then, so.
So I really don't think you get a notification, but can you imagine getting broken up with via a Facebook update? Like, I'm fucking dead. Like, you think everything's great, you're like, bye, like, see you this weekend for
Bye, babe.
love you. And then you, like, get home, and you're, like, log on, and you check Facebook, and it's like, Marie Carlson is not in a relationship with you.
Sorry, babe, my finger slipped. I don't know.
Oh my god, I would die. I just remember how dramatic it was changing my relationship status back to single when me and the guy I dated in college broke up. And I just remember it was like kind of traumatizing because then you get people like, this was pre-reaction. So it's like people liking it and then people commenting. And I'm like, please don't comment on my fucking business.
Oh my
like,
god, that was a thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. It's like, I'm always here for you. Like, Jesus Christ, it's not a funeral.
So I had a like almost like, well, not almost, but like a more intentional display of that with like the situation with my long-term ex, because and I think I mentioned this on one episode before, but like we were living together, we were running a gym together, we had a lot of mutual friends, we had a lot of mutual athletes, like it was kind of like, I hate to say, oh, it was a big deal, but it actually did impact a lot of people who were like members of the gym and part of like the groups that we ran and just all the different stuff. And so it felt important to like let people know like what was happening, how we left off on good terms. We weren't trying to like, we didn't want anyone to pick sides, like we wanted people to still feel comfortable coming into the gym and not feeling like, because I was still coaching at the time for a minute, and then I was like, yeah, this isn't working. But we wanted people to come in and feel like it was still the same, it was gonna be the same environment, the same energy, not that they whatever had to get involved. So like it was kind of important for us to make like a little bit of a public announcement. So we just did like a Facebook post. Actually from Breakside Brewery in Oregon.
Jesus.
Our Breakside breakup beers.
Woof.
They should release that. It should be like a 13% IPA.
Oh my god, we would promote the hell out of that.
We're sponsored by the breakup beer.
That would be fantastic. Breakside, if you're listening.
Yeah, I'll tag them. But yeah, so I mean, it sounds like, I guess we kind of have like a mixed bag of things for who initiates. I thought you had said you had like a counter, you had a counterpoint. Oh, he's giving me like
No.
big look. When we were in the backstage show, you were saying that you had like a counterpoint to Marie saying the girl usually initiates.
I feel like I wrote notes for this episode after listening to the last one of shit I wanted to bring up, and then 2 hours ago, my head was just all over the fucking place, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's alright, we'll move on.
I feel like that's kind of all of us right now too. So listeners, I hope you can follow this because I'm not sure if any of us can, but here we are.
We're doing our best.
As always, unedited bullshit from your favorite ends. Your
Hopefully
favorite
it's
ends.
funny, I don't know.
Hey, as long as we're funny.
Okay, let me get us back on track here.
That's what you do best.
That's my job. So we've covered like some of the differences, like transparent managing expectations. But there's also kind of like there's still just like weird places. So I have a situation where I'm trying to think of how to even explain it. So I have a situation where I friend zoned someone and then they moved out of state and then we started talking more, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then I kind of like unfriend zoned them, but it's not like, I don't know. It's like a weird situation because we're not moving in a direction, but we talk more consistently than just like a friend who lives out of state. So it's like I'm in this weird, I wouldn't even say, it's definitely not an officially unofficial like moving, because I feel like when I think of officially unofficial, more of the time than not, it's like moving towards something like committed or relationship, and that's just like not the situation here.
Well, I don't think, we say it's the gray area, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be in a direction. I think that's part of why this, like, no man's land is so stressful, is because, like you are, like, you're potentially, like, plateaued. Or, like, you're just in this, you're like in two lanes on the highway driving next to each other, but you're not necessarily going anywhere. Or you're stuck in traffic. I don't know if you're in Austin.
Or you're sitting like next to each other at the brewery, and like you didn't necessarily show up together.
Wait, do you do that?
Sit next to people at breweries?
God, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's called sitting at the bar. Right? I know it's been a long 20 years in 2020, but that's something that people used to do. Yeah, people used to sit next to each other.
That's so weird.
It's so
We're slowly spiraling in this whole
I know.
Ladies, ask me as a man any questions about being unofficially official.
Okay. So officially unofficial or unofficially official. Do those mean the same thing?
Yeah. No, they don't.
I think they do.
What would you say are factors that would cause you to stay in the officially unofficial zone for longer?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Nothing. I'm in control of myself and I do what I want. No.
Yeah.
No,
That's
honestly,
why there was a long sigh when I asked that.
no, I had to think on it, but no. Factors? No, there's no factors. I do what I want. So like no, and I'm not saying that to be like pompous or anything, but like
We'll take it.
I have my own fucking plan, and it doesn't depend on anybody else's influence. But if anything were to prolong it, it would more so just end it at that point. If they did anything that I didn't like, I wouldn't necessarily prolong a deadline or anything. I would just be like, okay, yeah, goodbye. Like, get the fuck out of here. You're wasting my time.
So what would be wasted time for you? Like, this is so hypothetical.
No, I mean, there are red flags that I look out for now, and
Fair.
once I see one, I leave. That's about it.
And there you have it.
You can ask me what flags are next.
No.
What's red?
That's not this episode. That's its own whole episode.
Woof.
Woof. Okay, I'll ask myself that question.
Michelle, what? I don't even remember what the question was.
So man, can you repeat the question? So the question was, actually, Marie, how about you? How about you, and I'll answer. So
I don't remember the question.
I'm gonna ask. This is going great.
No.
What would be factors that would cause you either like within, let's call it within like the situationship itself, within your own life, within other things, what would be factors that cause you to stay in the gray area of officially unofficial for longer?
I think just kind of like where like my head's at personally. Like I've obviously like dealt with like depression shit for my whole life. But it kind of comes in ebbs and valleys. So when I'm feeling lower, it's tougher for me to like wanna like actually commit. But obviously we all like the validation of like knowing that somebody's into you too. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I want to change my answer. I like Marie's answer. No, because for real, like sometimes I'll be feeling real good about myself and about what's going on, and then I'll like misstep for whatever reason. Like I stopped going to my gym for like a month. I kind of fell into like a weird rut, and I was like, shit. At this point, like I am not getting into a relationship right now. Like I need to figure out what the fuck is going on in my head. So I like your answer.
Thank you. I like my answer too. Well, but between that the other thing for me would just be like my own schedule. Obviously, somehow we're very busy.
Somehow with full-time jobs, animals, and podcasts, and like partnerships we're trying to promote, weird. So crazy, we're busy.
It's so nuts. But well, and especially I mean for me, like right now around the holidays, like dealing with family, travel, all that other bullshit. It's just not something that's like at the top of my priority list. So I think that's kind of probably the difference between people who like Mike was mentioning earlier, like the girls or guys that have a deadline and like want to have this conversation sooner. A relationship is something that is more of a priority to them versus like what you were saying, Michelle. Like you and I kind of just see it as more of a like, it's nice if it happens.
I've never seen a woman or a man give an ultimatum and then be happy in the end. Like if it works out.
Do you think this is an ultimatum though?
I've seen it become one.
I think it's how it's presented.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, what are we? And if we're not what I want to hear, then I need to go do something else.
Well, I feel like that's not how the conversation has to go.
Yeah, it depends on how it's posed. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's the intent and that's how it's taken, at least, most of the time.
Do we need to have a part 3 where we go into like how to have this conversation?
Ooh.
I mean, I feel like that wouldn't necessarily need to be its own episode. We can just touch on that right now.
But Michelle, I feel like before we do, Michelle, you have an answer to your own question.
Obviously, why else wouldn't I have pitched the question?
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Please enlighten us.
No, so I think, again, in line with like what I think we all deal with, like anxiety and depression, and so that is something that I look at too, where it's like if I'm, because kind of the same when I'm in a super low place, I find that I don't want to say like sacrificing my standards, but I'm more receptive to attention from people that wouldn't necessarily be in line with like what I was looking for. And so I try to be cognizant of that and try to not like either not date or take a step back or whatever the case is until I've like leveled out myself. And then like schedule, yes, I think to me that's more of like when I initially start seeing somebody, because it's like this sounds odd, like you're not important to me yet, so I'm not like putting you in the Google Calendar, or I'm not like canceling things to hang out or whatever it is. On the other side, I would say I'm like a little bit different than Mike in terms of red flags or orange or yellow flags. It's not necessarily always like an immediate deal breaker for me, but I might slow down the progression of things. I might like.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You need to go. I stuck my finger up real quick. Well, finish. Go on.
I was just gonna say, but it does make me like slow down the progression towards maybe even having that conversation because I'm still vetting them.
You know what happens when somebody brings that up to a guy? It immediately causes anxiety, and then that guy goes to his guy friend and says, "Guess what just happened? So and so just brought up this whole like, what are we thing?" And then it's like, fuck. Why am I getting looked at? That's what happens. I mean, if it's too quick, like it comes off as like kind of weird and clingy and like what's happening here? So.
What's the soonest that you can remember that you've had someone try to bring up what are we to you? Oh my god, I wish we had a close up on his face right now.
I would have to think. I mean, I don't know. I'm very like standoffish, so I'm very picky with who I see, and I think I see those red flags before I even start dating somebody. Like I have some kind of weird intuition about it, so I don't think I ever get to that point. Like I have a very chill vibe, so if somebody's not the same, then I cut it off real quick. Doesn't get to that.
You heard it here first. Like the producer does not put up with red flags.
Or bullshit.
I do. What's up? Slide into my DMs. On that note, how to have the conversation. I feel like, I don't know, we should just wrap with that. So I would say from my perspective, again, it's just being direct, obviously in a respectful way. Like, in a respectful way, being direct, but also, like, not, like, definitely don't put an ultimatum on it unless it's like, okay, it's like those memes where it's like, yeah, we've been, we've been hanging out for 6 years. I met her family. We have a car.
We have a baby.
And she just asked me, what are we? Can you believe that? Like obviously there are some situations where like an ultimatum unfortunately is necessary as long as you're willing to stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing, right? Like if you're not willing to stick to it, don't say it. But I think where these conversations can happen naturally is great, but I also feel like if not knowing, actually this is again something I said in the previous episode, like if there's like a bunch of anxiety for you around not knowing, whatever it is that you feel like you need to ask, even if it is too soon, even if it is too early, that's probably a sign that like whatever's happening is I'm not like pointing at Mike.
But you are.
But it's like that is not the right fit. If you want something way sooner than that other person, maybe that's just not the right fit. But if you don't ask it, it's gonna drive you fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what it comes down to too, is like, you may, if you are having that conversation and they like take it really badly and they take it as an ultimatum, whether you're positioning it that way or not, and that's the end of that, that's probably for the best. I mean, I think like, okay, so for the guy that I've been like hanging out with, like this initially came up just because he started going through his own like dark, deep depression bullshit, and then kind of pulled back, and I was like, hey, like I've noticed a few different things, like, like you're not doing like as much with me as we were before. Like, are we good? Like, what's going on? And I think even just like where do we stand? Are we cool? Not where do we stand, but like are we cool? Like, like, hey, like I thought this was going one way. Am I wrong? Is that wrong?
No. I think it's all about presentation though, right? It's like you can either make it a really stressful interaction where it's like, hey, look, I need to know what we're doing, or you go like, hey, look, man, I really fucking like you, like I dig you, and like I personally don't want to see anybody else. Kind of want to see if you kind of feel the same way. I mean, if not, let me know. But I mean, just to let you know, that's where I'm at.
Or, yeah, I mean, like, to your point, like, just saying, like, I'm not seeing other people. Are you? Like, question.
Right. If you call me crying, like trying to figure out what my issue is, I'm just like, gee, I didn't sign up for this.
Well, and nobody wants to get the "we need to talk" text.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing worse
It's
from,
like, fuck, what did I do to deserve this? I didn't do anything.
like, your friend, your mom, your person, like, whatever, you don't want that
I'm
message.
chilling on a Saturday, I don't need this shit.
And then it's like, then you're just fucking high strung, like, the whole time until you do meet up with that person. And now tension is already way too high. Like, that conversation is not going well.
Yeah.
Michelle, I feel like you have some thoughts.
I mean, I was gonna make a joke about texting you, we need to talk, and then having it be like something really exciting and fun.
I mean, sometimes, well, you send, because you're stupid Android, you send OMG.
Drink that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the first time you've shit on me tonight for Android.
I'm in a weird mood. But, like, you send, like, the OMG message, and I'm like, okay, I'm, like, at the edge of my seat, what are you OMGing? And then you'll be like, pick, asterisk. And, like, and then 5 minutes later, the picture comes through, and I'm like, okay, I've been waiting, like, on pins and needles for this fucking screenshot of, like,
Of like a Hinge profile.
yeah, of, like, some dumb shit that some guy said to you, which is, like, I mean, to be fair, it's usually funny, but, like, the OMG, I'm like, okay, does Blue need to go to the vet? Do I need to pick you up from somewhere? Like, is your mom okay? Like, what is going on? Like,
I'll do better. I didn't realize that. I'll start using lowercase. Is that better?
literally, I just sit there like this. Just, like,
Staring, waiting.
hunched over, like, tense.
Well, the thing about it is sometimes my like screenshots or pictures that I send don't go through for multiple days. So I've now learned I literally tell anyone that I'm texting that there's like a picture coming because I don't know if they're gonna receive it or not.
Well, but honestly, like, we send so many pictures to, like, I don't know if, like, sometimes the context and it has come through multiple days later, and you're like, Marie, what are you responding to? And I'm like, that picture you sent me.
And I'm like, who? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Send it back to me. I don't remember.
And then it takes another 2 days to send that.
We might as well use carrier pigeon.
I asked
It'd be faster in our building.
right before this podcast, I asked Michelle for an iPhone charger, and she looked at me like I had 3 fucking heads. And I was like, I don't know, I thought you might, be thoughtful of other people.
Okay.
On that note.
On that note,
Any final words?
I mean, it's just the usual, right? Like, everything's a spectrum. Be as open and honest as you can. Honestly, like, if you...
But don't be scary.
Don't be scary. Well, just, I don't know. I was gonna say have an open heart. That feels weird. It's probably because I haven't, like, messaged my mom back in a couple of hours. I'm, like, channeling her. I just mean, like, think about how... Like, when you're thinking about how to message this, think about how the other person's gonna receive it, which is totally different than having an open heart, but that's where we are.
Well, and, like, think about where you're at too, because, like, if you're having, like, anxiety about something, there might already be something wrong with it. Been there. And or like, maybe you're just in an anxious state, and maybe it has absolutely nothing to do with the other person. So I feel like taking kind of a step back and, like, looking at yourself is also super important.
Yep. Just remember, you're programmed to find a mate. Chill out, take a step back, think about it, and present it in a good way. Don't be a psychopath.
Don't send 100 text messages to somebody without getting a response, because they're probably not interested.
Don't start slacking their roommate because you're not getting a response. That's fucking crazy.
Dude, so the other girl made a TikTok. She has 30,000 followers, and she made a TikTok about him.
No.
Yeah.
Please send that to me later.
I'll find it. I
Please.
will find it. I'm pretty sure she calls him out by name.
Oh my god. I'm
This
dead.
fucking asshole, Patrick.
Oh my god.
The other thing I would say too is, like, maybe get a little, like, it's 2020. Get maybe a little more comfortable with being in an official state for longer. I feel like, given what everyone's dealing with right now, given the state of the world, given just everything else, I think like taking a step back and trying to be more comfortable with that and not assuming that you have to be in a labeled relationship. The other day I coined a new term. I was gonna save it, but the casualification of dating is a future topic for us.
Maybe we like spell that out and give a definition.
In the future. Yes.
All right.
Mike has something. He's pointing at me again.
Yeah, no, so that's like the one thing that freaks me out is once I sense that, like it comes off as codependent, and if you're not okay being yourself, then I'm fucking out. Like it's a huge red flag for me. If you feel insecure or codependent, then I'm out, basically.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I meant when I was talking about like scheduling, is like sometimes I like think about it and like, okay, well, like if, you know, I have my life, we're doing all these things, where do you fit into that? And if it's like that you want to be together every single waking moment, it's probably not going to work out, because I feel real weird recording a dating podcast with like my boyfriend sitting in the corner staring at me drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird enough sometimes with the dogs.
Yeah, like, be comfortable being yourself, right? Because like I got podcasts to do, I got jujitsu, I got a roommate to take care of, 2 dogs. I got a lot of shit going on. I can't balance your dependence with mine. Like, go away.
That was almost a wrap for half a second. Like you said it so perfectly.
I'm just surprised he wasn't like, I have to deal with these girls' bullshit.
If you ain't balling, you're falling. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Well, couple of things to wrap. Do you have, I think that's your closing line.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't prepare a full rap, so we're okay.
Great.
We'll save that for The Bachelor.
So, this will be released next week, which is like the second week of December. This is going to be our last official podcast of the year. Don't worry. We're coming back hard and fast in 2021.
Oh, we've got a plan, guys. We've got like on Slack, we've got a hashtag 2021. Like, we are ready for this.
I was sending out an email to a potential partner earlier, and in my head, I was like, shoot your shot, bitch. And I was like, boom, send it. So,
and Mike's voice was in the back of her head saying, have confidence.
But
Go back to
yeah,
that
we
episode.
are, Marie's about to do a little quarantine. Then she's visiting her family. My family's possibly coming to town. So we're going to take a little break. We've been grinding pretty hard, and we're going to take a couple weeks off, but we are going to do the
12 Days of Christmas
with the pod. So we're going to re-release, they're all available, but we're going to re-release and promote all of our kind of earlier episodes, our favorites.
So how many episodes do we have now?
I think this is going to be 22 or 23. We missed our 20th birthday because we're busy.
Feeling 22. Sorry, I'm gonna stop singing.
Anyway, so be on the lookout for that. We'll probably also be maybe like sending out some more surveys and polls just in general towards this. So now is the time, if you have general questions, feedback, just kind of anything for us. We're basically regrouping and doing Q1 planning. So I hate myself.
Who knew this was gonna be a thing? Like,
yeah.
Speaking of like quarantine and this whole thing, like this whole year just being nuts, like who knew that we'd be fucking sitting here right now?
I really gotta poop.
Yeah, we're wrapping.
That's when Mike had a pizza, now he has to poop.
Marie, where can everybody find and follow us?
Swipe and the City everywhere. What are we? swipeinthecity@gmail.com. We are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter.
We are
Facebook? We are actually on Facebook, we just never use it.
We're technically on Facebook. We just got a new follower today.
That's weird.
We are on SoundCloud. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. You can find Mike on Instagram.
Yeah, I guess you can find me. Just don't watch the YouTube video because it looks like a paranormal activity live stream. I hate it. We're gonna make this better. Okay? We're gonna have 2 different angles. I'm gonna edit it. It's gonna be fun.
Producer Mike has our backs.
Well, cheers, bitches.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming to the shit show.
I'm wondering how you stop